there you have the essence of the spiritual path. You know, it's interesting, but it's true, because what happens is, and I do think it probably happens for all of us at times, we start feeling very clear about what's meant to happen. And the mind just takes over. And that is the extraordinary subtlety that we're trying to work with and refine, is that ability to listen. I mean, and listen, you know, now we're not listening with ears, really. We're listening purely with our heart. We're developing and deepening our intuition. But it's almost the fact that Master called his book of poetry Whispers from Eternity. You know, there was meaning in that. I mean, that guidance does come in whispers. And that was, I'm sure, that is God's intention. It's like, listen carefully, and let go of all of that noise that we have that's trying to tell us what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And, you know, once we're on the path for a long time, which I say this often, but all of us are, or have been, or we simply couldn't be here today. Doesn't matter whether we've been with Ananda 45 years or 1 year or 6 months. It just doesn't matter. When we're drawn here, it speaks to lifetimes of spiritual work. So we get good at knowing what we're supposed to do. We are good at that. You know, we know in our heads what's good, bad, right, wrong for our spiritual growth. But that's the problem. There's always that good, bad, right, wrong. You know, we even think in dualities like that. But I think it really is a constant practice of trying to quiet the mind. You know, in the reading for tomorrow, I hope I don't ruin this for Keshava. I don't know what he's going to speak about, of course, but we can't hear this too much. The reading from the Bible, Matthew, I think it is it's an extraordinary reading. I do feel it's the most profound of all of the 52 readings that we get. But the reading says, in the way Swamiji comments on it, he talks about John the Baptist and Jesus. And John the Baptist is the one who can see the light. He can see it, but he's not the light. Jesus is the light, and it's written, the light that lighteth everything, means that light which imbues, it becomes every atom, every proton, every electron. But we are, maybe many of us aren't even close yet to being John the Baptist, maybe some of us are, but we're on that continuum. Everybody is on that continuum. So we're watching the light, all of us, every time we can remember, but we have to just get better at remembering. And that's why that Sanskrit word smriti is so wonderful, because it just is exactly that remembering truth. So the simple answer is try and still ourselves. It doesn't mean sitting alone and being quiet in that way, like not talking. It means stilling the heart so that we can really hear. And I will say, I've said this many times, Swamiji said many times in his talks that knowing when something is true intuition, it's the hardest thing on the path because the ego is so subtle. But I would like to add that very often when it's an intuition, it just feels so different and you know it. And I'm not saying, obviously, if it was always true, Swamiji wouldn't have to say that it was hard. If it was always true that when we thought something was intuition, it is. But it's not, that's not the case, so we need to be mindful. But there is a certain utter clarity, peace, contentment, joy that comes when that intuition comes. So we have to learn how to watch for that. And when it's not that, it's just not that. And then we're our human selves. And it's fine, but it's not that. So does that make sense? Yeah, that's a good question, though.